Hi guys, it's Andy from Man City Fan TV and welcome back to part 2 of the Friday Night Social. And as usual, the guests get a chance to ask a question. As you know, it's called the Golden Question. So first up tonight, we've got Martin. So Martin, what's your question tonight?
So the question is to all of you. When have you ever gone above and beyond to get to a match or watch a Man City game? And it can be anything from missing a wedding, anything, hitchhiking, whatever you have to do.
Okay, who do you want to ask then, mate?
I'll start with Alan because he's over in the corner for me.
Okay, so I'll bring in Alan. Alan, there's your question. What have you done to go above and beyond to get to watch a Man City game or a game? I'm guessing a game.
I think it's got to be only one of them. I was sat here in Australia, in Melbourne, and it was 3 days before the Manchester derby in 2012, when Vincent Kompany scored that goal.
Yeah.
And 3 days before, I got a phone call offering me 2 tickets to the game. And at that point, I hadn't booked a flight. And I hadn't, I thought, are City going to win it or are they not? At that point, United were in front. I thought, we've got a chance because they just drawn 4 each. That the same day where they drawn 4 each against Everton, I think it was, at Old Trafford. And I thought, we've got a chance of winning it now. I was dwelling in it all day. And in the end, I told my boss at that time, I'm going back, I have to go to an emergency. I've got to go back to the UK. I booked a flight. I was on the flight the next day. Oh. I got back the day before the derby, and it was at the derby game at the Etihad. I went to the Man United against Saints win 1-0. Newcastle away, got tickets for that game, and obviously was there with my father to watch us win the league against QPR. So I travelled 12,000 miles, or 10,000 miles, whatever it is, with a City sweatshirt, and everyone's. And when I got to, and I flew by Etihad, for a bit of luck. I got to I don't know if you've ever been to Abu Dhabi Airport, where the transit lounge is a big circle area, and there was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Blues there, all doing the exact same thing as me. We flew from Sydney, Singapore, Hong Kong, all ex-Manx, and all going on. And I just said, look, I've waited all my life to see City possibly win the league. I am not going to miss this. I've seen us down Division 2, the whole lot. I just couldn't stay. And my boss rang me when I was in Abu Dhabi and said, is the reason you're going home is to watch City win the league? And I went quiet because I told him it was an emergency, but I didn't tell him what it was for. And he went, yeah, it's an emergency. And he just started laughing. Good job he had a good sense of humour and let me get away with it. There you go.
Fantastic. Martin, who next?
Chris.
Well, I've never done anything like that travel-wise. I am not much of a traveller, if I'm honest with you. But when I was living in Wakefield for a while in '94, and City went to Leeds United, and I tried for 3 weeks to try and get a ticket, and they basically said no at Main Road, said there's no tickets going. So I decided I'd go and meet the buses as they came in. Couldn't get a ticket, but I was there. So I decided to go and sit in with the Leeds fans, and I couldn't really be much closer to the City fans as I were. But I sat down, and I had no colours on. First thing I heard when I got through the gate was, anyone not wearing colours is one of them. I thought, oh, shit. I sat down, and they were warming up, and the lad next to me said to me, is that David Weatherall over there? And I had to put my best Yorkshire apps on, and all right, happen it is. And,
that's not bad, that. I'll give you that, Chris. It's all right, that.
Hey, that's good. Hey, Tom, do you approve of that?
That's all right, that. I'll give you that. That's okay.
The woman in the background.
So they went on a beat 2-0. I think Noel Whelan scored both goals for them. And the only time I got to have any fun was when they said stand up if you hate Man U, and I thought, yeah, I can do this. But, that was no fun at all, and I would certainly not do it again. I was quite happy to get home with all in one piece.
Mate, I sat in the Stretford end watching City against United at United because I couldn't get a ticket in the City end. When it was the 5-0 drubbing by United, give us an absolute hammering. It was 5-0. When it got to 4-0, I was praying to God it wouldn't go 5 because it was a few years after we beat them 5-1, and I had to sit in the United end and deal with it. It was horrible. It was horrible.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind that. That was mine sitting at Old Trafford. But I'm the idiot who jumps up when Barton scores the equaliser and got escorted out. It was like the 85th minute. Barton equalised, and I screw it. I'm standing up. I went mental. You've never had so many screws here so quick.
Go on then. Who's next?
Are you answering it?
Yeah, I'll answer.
Go on, then we'll go to you next for the change.
Probably gone above. Was this year? Probably gone above and beyond. Was getting back for the Carabao Cup final. It was just horrendous because obviously because coronavirus was kicking off and everything else. I was out in Dubai, and it was one of those. I was working and then. Had about 2 hours sleep, and then with the time difference, and then got up at I had 2 hours sleep. Got up, got my taxi to the airport, and flew into Heathrow. Getting a bus to my car, get my car to Wembley to park up at a bloody apartment park up where I was parking my car, and then meeting up with you lot. And I'd been up for like God no, I've forgotten how long it was. About 29 hours with about 2 hours kit, but no, that's probably above and beyond because I had to move around my course and everything in Dubai just to make sure I was because I made sure I was back for the Carabao Cup final. So yeah, for me that's probably I've been in away ends and things like that before, but that was mine. So who next?
So you don't want to get off a plane after that and come face to face with me, do you, normally? That's not the most ideal thing.
No, it was. I don't know. It was Mingy Wong. It was you, and then Chris turned up in his Aston Villa top.
You were happy to see me, though, weren't you, Andy? You were happy to see me.
I was happy to see you, buddy. I was, but I remember that day, I just wanted to go to sleep. I really wanted to go to sleep. I was that goose by the time I got to... And then we went back, we were drinking, we were doing whatever, and it was...
You got a second win.
Yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? You know, you've been up for a day and a half, and then by the time you get to Wembley, and then you've got all... And we're still interviewing, we're still doing interviews, and we're still doing this, that, and the other, and... it was got to bed about midnight or something like that, 1 o'clock in the morning. It was.
I was still on the road. Then,
At least you didn't have those crazy Liverpool fans like the Community Shield, Andy.
Yeah, I mean, that was going above and beyond for the channel.
Your face throughout, that's just brilliant.
It was really funny. I mean, but there were one or two occasions where I'm thinking, am I going to get my head absolutely smashed in here? Because I was winding them up and just to try and get more out of them. And then I'm thinking, oh, I don't know. It's getting a bit on top here. And then that crazy Dubliner.
And then that security guard as well.
Yeah, I know. But
are you the one who wet your microphone?
No, that was a Liverpool fan. Who tried to eat the microphone.
Wow.
Yeah, that was. If you haven't seen that, Karl, go back and watch the live one from Liverpool. It was after it was the Carabao Cup. Was it Carabao Cup?
It was the Community Shield. Was it Community Shield?
Was it Community Shield? It was.
I'll go check it out.
That was when I was in Tenerife.
Yeah,
I missed
that was after the Liverpool Community Shield. It was, in the hotel, just outside the hotel, which is
it last summer or the one 2014?
The one last summer, but ended up encountering an absolute crazy Dubliner who was mental and actually really nice because I ended up having a few beers with him after I'd stopped filming and everything. But about 5, 6, 7 Liverpool fans, and they were getting pretty pretty heated. So it was it was interesting. But it was like a 2-hour live vlog. Everything was live, and they were getting they were nice, but I was backed into a corner of. Luckily, I was in the hotel. So anyway, that's mine. Martin, who's next?
Well, I think we're going to leave Arnold Schwarzenegger till last. We'll go to Karl next.
Okay.
Yeah. For me, it's also the Carabao Cup. So I coach U12 kids here in the US, and the day of the Carabao Cup, Sunday. Remember, it was a Sunday. And my game with my kids on a Sunday was at the same time as a Carabao Cup game, right? And so now I had a choice to make. Do I coach my kids and do I coach them well, or do I watch the game? Because I have to watch the game. So I take my phone, put it on NBC Sports Gold, on my phone. And my game is going on and the City game is going on. And I'm actually watching the game my kids are playing. My kid is shouting to me, Dad, what are you doing? What are you doing? Focus on the game. What are we supposed to do? I'm like, just play. I'm watching the game. And that's what happened. I was literally watching the City game instead of coaching my team on the field. So
they're playing a proper game, not just like a training
game. A proper game.
Yeah, but he shouted focus on the game. He went, I am doing. Keep going. I am.
A proper game. But they ended up winning, so that was good. And my wife afterwards said, "What the hell were you doing, man? You're supposed to be coaching, not watching Man City game." But Well,
there you go. That's your coaching skills then. Watching the game, they won. Stick to watching football.
Exactly. Yeah.
Go on, Arnold.
Oh, Arnie.
Well, that was a proper bad Arnold Schwarzenegger accent. I turned into a Scottishman for a second then, so I thought I'd stop.
He pronounced it all right, though.
Yeah.
You didn't see my Chinese. You didn't see my Chinese on the vlog earlier.
That was very impressive.
Your Chinese on the vlog.
Yeah, you missed it.
God.
We missed the Lillo's football club.
I'm gonna have to watch that back.
You have to. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
His pronunciations of foreign players is just the best I've ever heard. Go on then, mate. Go on, Arnie.
Right. Yeah. So I'm going back 5 years. We're going to Boxing Day when the floods were happening very badly over Christmas, and we were playing Sunderland on Boxing Day. Me and my dad, obviously coming from setting off from Yorkshire, it normally takes about an hour and 10 minutes to get there. It took us 3.5 hours to get there. So we set off usual route down the M62.
Oh, I think you fell off the M62.
So confused.
Just go back again there, mate, because we just lost you for a minute. Maybe your muscles just caught your microphone or something like that. Maybe you were giving it a bit of this and.
Yeah.
We got the bit. We got. Yeah, I'll be back. We got the bit. We got the bit where you got onto the motorway. You were fighting some robot and smashed his car up and ripped him and had red eyes and everything else, and you rescued some young kid. But I mean, no, I'm only kidding. We got to the point where you got onto the M62, I think it was.
Yeah, Saddle of Moor. And
okay.
There was bad traffic, so we were confused, and there was a turned over car because of the bad weather. So we pulled off and we started going towards Upper Mill. So I was going to say,
it wasn't you, was it, who turned over the car?
Oh no, it wasn't me.
You went Upper Mill. How have you got from Yorkshire to Upper Mill to Sunderland?
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's the home.
It's the home game. It's the home game.
Oh right, I thought you meant.
Yeah.
It's coming down Milne Road.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So as we went to Upper Mill, and it was completely flooded, vans floating. So we turned around, we went back down the
Vans were floating.
Yeah, yeah.
What, real vans?
Yeah, of course, real vans. So yeah.
Had you took the wrong turn and gone to Blackpool and they were out at sea or something?
No.
They were actually floating.
Yeah, they were floating because it was so deep.
Yeah.
So we turned around, went back on saddle with Mars, and we started going back down. And we turned off, going near the viaduct, near the reservoir, on the back roads.
Yeah.
So we started going down there, and we tried to get on again, and once again it was flooded. So we turned around, and my dad used to live over there, so we started trying to go towards Mixenden, where he used to live, and once again it was shut. So eventually we found some random country road that was luckily okay, and we managed to get into Manchester, and we managed to get there at half time, and the guys who we sit with was texting us saying 1-0, 2-0, you've just missed Wilfred Boney score first ever goal for us, 3-0. And in the end, I managed to see us score 1 goal, and I saw Fabio Barini score as well. So it was a good day, and then it took ages to get back as well. So yeah, it was a good day, and I managed to lift some cars out of a flood as well, you know. And yeah, so as well as going to watch City, I managed to save some people's cars as well. So yeah, it was all an overall great day.
What about the old lady's cats?
Unfortunately, I was more focusing on the Christmas movie. You know, the one where I went go and try and find the toy for my son. And I had to fight a man to get it. So, yeah. So unfortunately, I was just recovering from that. So I didn't really want to go into any more detail in the cats and that. So yeah.
Well done, mate. That's God. I mean, how many people would have got to that point and gone, forget it, turning around and going back home? Well done for doing that journey. Who else? Is anybody else?
No.
Is that everybody?
No, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So we're going to move on to the third question, and we're going to come to Alan.
Okay. Obviously, a lot of fans over the last few years have had their different opinions about Benjamin Mendy and either his performances, his fitness, his commitment, everything. So I want to ask everybody, what's their opinion? Do we persevere with Benjamin Mendy at left fullback? Because clearly he's got talent. He's been hampered with injured. Or do we go out and sign a replacement for him, or someone to play in front of him, as far as that push Benjamin down the order to put him on the bench and get another left back? What do we do moving forward with Benjamin Mendy? And I'll go Tom first.
Okay. So for me, I'm a big fan of Benjamin Mendy. I thought before all this coronavirus stuff, he was by far one of the best players for us. His performance in Madrid was absolutely outstanding, especially in the top three behind De Bruyne and Jesus, obviously, because they had stunning games as well. Yep. I think we've got the full Benjamin Mendy back now. I think all injuries, touch wood, are okay and none are going to reoccur. Based on trying to bring in another person, I don't think at the moment it'll be the right time. Maybe focus on other positions. Angelino seems to be doing a decent job over back in Germany, so we can get him back in as backup.
I think he's staying there, though, isn't
but other than that, is it? Well, with Zinchenko, we've got Zinchenko there. Other than that, I think we need to put full confidence into Benjamin Mendy because I think he's got massive potential and I think he could come one of the best left backs in the league.
Okay,
but we'll have Martin Tyler in their place. The ace interviewer.
All right, okay.
Jeff Shreves, then, if he's a great interviewer.
Ian.
I would keep him because I've said it earlier on the live blog. One, I think he needs to get a consistent one full season behind him, injury free. Now I know that's a big ask, touch wood, because he's not managed to do it yet. And the other thing is, I don't think there's another left back available out there. really at the moment. Looks like Ben Chilwell's on his way to Chelsea. So there isn't really another left back, unless you go and get maybe Alexander Sandro, I don't know. But there isn't really anybody there. So for me, give Ben Mendy another year. I do know, I read on Twitter earlier on that, is it Man City Extra, MCFC Extra? Apparently the club are quietly, actively trying to sell him, but they cannot find a buyer. Nobody will take him. Now, you take that as a pinch of salt. You don't know whether you believe it or not. But that was the same thing last year as well. That's why the Ben Chilwell deal fell through, because they couldn't get anyone to take Mendy off their hands. But I think that's a bit harsh. That I'd like to keep him, because if you can get him back to the Mendy in his first 3 months at the club, to me, there's not many better left backs out there than him.
Yeah.
Okay. Karl?
Yeah, I agree with Tom and with Martin. I think that the Mendy we saw before Corona was the Mendy that we know can play well. I think the issue is not just replacing him, but it's also using the money for a centre back, right? Because I mean, why spend on a left back when we don't have the centre back pairing with Laporte? So I give him 1 more year. If he breaks down again, then we got to sell him. But for now, I think he's shown a commitment over the past couple of months. I see his videos on his training and his effort at home, and there were no issues with him going out that we know of in terms of breaking the rules. And so he seems to be serious. Let's give him one more shot and see what happens. Yeah.
Andy?
For me, I mean, I've said it all along. I mean, I think Mendy needs another full season. I'm hoping with this current break and everything else that's happened, and that he comes back and starts. I mean, God, you can see it now, can't you? He comes back, he plays a few games, not fully fit, not fully in, had a full pre-season, and gets a bloody another ACL or something like that, and then that's his end of his career. But I mean, I'm hopeful. I'm really hopeful that he can get a full season under his belt at City, because for me, he's right up there. He is right up there in some of the best left backs in world football. So I think City will stick with him. I think he'll give him 1 more year. And it's interesting because you'd think with this Corona lockdown and everything else, I mean, you know what Ben Mendy's like on social media.
Yeah.
Hardly seen anything. Hardly seen anything.
Only workout videos to try and help people.
Yeah,
That's just trying to support him.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you normally see is all his stupidness and everything else. And I mean, he's funny. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's not wrong with a bit of banter, and as fans we like that. But doesn't seem to have been anything for the last 2-3 months. It just seems so. Hopefully, something has switched on in there. Maybe Pep's had a go at him and whatever, had a chat to him, or somebody has. And I just have my fingers crossed for him, because we saw at the beginning of last season, we saw at the beginning of the previous season, his assist record is absolutely phenomenal when he's in full flow. But does the system fit him? That's the thing. Will it need a 3-5-2 and something like that to get him in? I don't know. But for me, keep him 1 more year. Let's see what happens.
Who's left? Anyone left? It's Chris.
I think Chris.
Yeah, Chris.
I said not long ago that we should give him another season, because I don't think we have seen the real Ben Mendy at City yet. I think he got injured. I don't think it was 3 months into the season. I think it was 6 weeks into that first season when he got injured. I think he has got real potential. I think he's a real athlete, and his assists are phenomenal. Really are. I do doubt his defending abilities, and if Pep were to leave and we got a manager who was less gung-ho, then I don't know where Mendy fits in then. But I really like the lad. I think, he had a really dreadful time at City, really, with injuries. So I'd like to see him give him that extra season to show what he can do. Our problem being, though, is that if we give him this extra season, rely on him, and he breaks down in September again or whatever, I think whoever comes in for him is a real weakness for City. So it's a tough call, really, because you're relying on him to stay pretty much injury-free for a whole season, because I don't think Zinchenko's the right man. I guess Cancelo's going. So, yeah, I think if we're going to get anybody, we need somebody who's a bit versatile, a bit of a utility man, like Danilo was on the right-hand side, who could come into midfield as well. If we could find somebody at left back who could do that job, then great. But yeah, I really hope and pray that he has a season free of injury and we get to see the real Ben Mendy.
When I first saw him properly, I went over to watch City at Watford when we won 6-0. I was there. I was there at that game, and I was with about 3 or 4 of the Melbourne Blues that came over with us, and an old mate of mine, Ash. We all went, wow. He was unbelievable that day. He was pushing down the left-hand side. The crosses he was putting in were incredible. And I'm just going, my God, it's like a Yaya, but quicker on the left-hand side as fullback, because he's massive. And the strength he had was unbelievable. And then when he got injured, every time he came back, I thought he took at least 6 games to get fit.
Scared.
He was scared.
Scared to injure himself.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought he's not the same player. And he's not the best defensive player, I admit that. But pushing forward, which is what Pep wants the fullbacks to do. He when he's confident, he takes some beating. You can't stop him. But it's up to City if they're going to get someone who's basically as good as him to play cover or not far short of him. Because if he does break down in September, then we have a huge problem again. And we've had that problem probably for about 5 years.
That's the dilemma we've got, like Chris said, and you just mentioned there, is the fact of we said it about Vinny Company at centre-back not replacing him last season. We're doing the same with the left-back position, aren't we? We're sort of like fingers crossed. It's like throwing all your eggs in a basket going, please, if Ben Mendy can do a season, brilliant. But if he doesn't, we're buggered. We're absolutely buggered at left-back. It will take the likes of a 3-5-2, moving so-and-so into this position and moving Laporte out on the left and doing this. And it changes your plan, doesn't it? I mean, Pep's got obviously his idea of what he wants to play. And suddenly, I'm only surmising that if he was to break down again, sort of like 6 weeks into a season, it's like, well, the transfer window's gone and that's it. And we're left with, like we have been, it seems we've been left with that conundrum every time he's broke down. It's like, Delph had a decent season. 1 year, he had that 1 year. We were lucky with that because he played really well. We had Zinchenko who did really well, but then it's not really been great, since then. And
Angelino's going.
When we slightly got away with it, Angelino's not. He's never going to be City's left.
He's never going
to be City. He's not good enough. Angelino's not good.
No way is he going to be City's left back.
He's better than Zinchenko all day long, twice on Sunday.
He can't defend for Toffee. He can't defend for Toffee. Yeah, I know, but
he's got any pace.
I don't think he's got any pace. I don't think Angelino
can defend better than him.
I disagree with that.
Angelino's quick. He's quick. He's quick. He's not. He can't defend. He can't defend, but he's quick.
I don't think he can defend.
Leipzig. Let's talk about Angelino Leipzig.
Yeah,
he's doing really well. He's doing really well, and I
I've got him. Look him. You only have to mention Angelino.
3 hours later.
You only have to
so well.
You only have to mention Angelino and Sane. And you've got him hook, line and sinker. Look at him now. He's thinking, how much money do I have to put into that swear pot from last night's vlog? And have you watched it back? You did say it about 10 times, so that's £10.
Last night.
It was loads. He said, I only said it once, Sane. No, you didn't.
Andy,
no, you didn't.
He said it loads tonight as well.
We know his trip tonight. Mine's off the Mendy. As soon as you mentioned I can't stand him.
A bit like you with Cancelo and Mahrez.
But I'm open about it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a quick break. Come back. We're going to come back. We're going to have a quick break. Come back, and we're going to go on to still on part 2, but the next 3 questions. We'll see you in a minute. Okay, so on to the next question, and tonight it is Karl. So, Karl, your question to everyone.
Yeah, my GQ, my golden question is this. If we win the FA Cup, the Champions League, and we already have the EFL Cup in the bag, will this season be better than last season?
So, we've got the Community Shield, we've got the Carabao Cup. If we were to win
the FA Cup,
Champions League and the FA Cup, will it be better than last season?
Yes.
Who do you want to ask that to?
Chris.
I think you're going to get resounding answers, I think, to this one, I'm guessing.
Chris.
Simply no. Last season, we were a really, really good team. This season, we've lost to Norwich. We've lost to the Rags twice. We've lost to some really poor teams this season. The league is the be-all and end-all as far as I'm concerned. I don't care about a Champions League. I really don't. I can't stress that enough. I don't care one iota if we never win it. I know that rival fans throw that in our faces all the time, but I really don't care about it, Karl. So this season, we've been very... I think it's been a stuttering season. Myself, Karl and Martin had a conversation last week, and we were talking about this, how we hadn't won. I think for most of it, I can't remember if it's at the end of the season it happened, but we hadn't won 3 league matches in a row, and that's just not what City have been doing the last couple of seasons. And I think the last 2 seasons in particular is the best football I've seen City ever play. This season's been a bit disappointing in terms of the quality we've seen. So even if we storm the Champions League and the FA Cup, I still think last season was a better season.
Okay. Alan?
No, to that question, because I think winning the league's the number one for me, the Premier League. It's the biggest competition in the world. 165 million pounds says that, compared to 90 million for the Champions League. And I don't really call it Champions League. I call it the UEFA FA Cup, because it's not the champions playing in it. It's teams from who finished 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And it's not a league; it's a knockout competition. So it's still, to me, it's the European Cup or the UEFA Cup. I think it's glorified because of UEFA. I'd like to win it this year if we can. And then win it, lift the trophy, then leave it in the middle of the pitch with all the medals inside the cup, and never take part in it ever again, because I have absolutely zero respect for UEFA in any way. So I'd just love to win it, just to shut them up. I don't think we will win it, I'll be honest with you. I don't think our defence is good enough to win it. I think we concede too many goals for that, especially when it gets to the knockout stages. So I'd like to think we could, but I can't see it.
Martin?
Unlike Alan, I do think we will win it this year, because I think Pep's gone all out for it. I think as soon as the league got done, I think they showed me in Madrid that the mentality's changed. That Madrid game, they really matured and grew up. Yeah. But would I rather win it? No. I'm not going to go as far as Andy calls it, the European Biscuit Trophy. But I will say,
It's a good name.
you know, I don't mind calling it the European Jaffa Cake because that's not a biscuit, it's a cake. But no, I just, for me, we were the only team to ever win every single domestic trophy last year. We were winning. We won 14 games on the bounce. If you look at our record this year, it's as bad, if not as worse, as Pep's first season in charge. We are. Let's be honest. We're awful this year, and we deserve to be 20 odd points behind the leaders because we're not being consistent enough. Like we've discussed, we haven't won 3 games on the bounce in the league, which is very unlike us. Very, very unlike us. So even though we might win the trophies, the last season for me was like absolutely bob on. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Tom?
For me, obviously, the Champions League is the biggest trophy in world global football. Obviously, to some people, especially across over in Merseyside. Well, in my opinion, I think that last season was better. Bearing in mind how we did it, how we turned around the league, how we made a 6-0 record in the FA Cup final. How we went to penalties with Chelsea and showed grit and determination to win there. I'd love to see us win the Champions League this year. It's always been a dream of mine to see us lift that. But in context to it being the better season, if we did win the FA Cup and Champions League, no, based in the circumstances, because obviously being at the ground and that when you've won a trophy is obviously a bit more surreal, and seeing people there with a little bit of an atmosphere, so not really. But I'd love to see us win it this season.
Fair enough. Andy?
I'm sort of I'm with everyone else really. It's one of those. What are we trying to compare? Winning the Premier League or winning the Champions League? Now, last season we won every domestic trophy. This season are we gonna swap the Champions League for the Premier League if we were to win the Champions League? So we'd still win the same amount of trophies. We just wouldn't have won the Premier League. So I mean, it's you know. Are we now saying the Champions? Are we now Liverpool fans who say the Champions League is the be all and end all of anything, or now all of a sudden for for Liverpool fans it's the Premier League is the biggest competition? Funny how when you're going for the Premier League, how suddenly one competition becomes bigger than the other in the space of 8-9 months. I don't think it'll make much difference to me because this season anyway, because of the way the season is. I don't think any trophy win, Premier League, if we were to win the FA Cup, if we were to win the Champions League, there's going to be rules and regulation changes within the Champions League. So for me, I don't think it will. Whatever trophies this season are going to be won from now onwards. I don't think it's going to count for very much, in my opinion. So. As far as I'm concerned, we've won 2 trophies this season, and if we finish whatever just with 2 trophies, so be it. I'm not bothered. Just the quicker this season is done and dusted, and all the rules and regulation changes for this season, which makes it makes it an absolute nonsense. So for me, on the point that the guys made, I don't think it can be as good as last season. Not just because of the Premier League and things, but just because even if we won the FA Cup and we won the Champions League, there's going to be so many rule changes and things are going to be different. The competition's going to be different, and I just don't see how anybody can legitimately win a trophy when you start changing rules and regulations and things like that partway through a season. So last season for me was unheard of, winning all domestic trophies. So last season for me, even though I'd like to win the Champions League just to get the monkey off the back and all that nonsense with what goes on, but other than that, no, last season was incredible. Good question. Right, okay, gonna come to Tom.
Right, so how much can you deadlift it? And I'm joking. With the Euros and the World Cup coming up in 2 consecutive seasons, what would be your strongest England 11 for the competition? Bearing in mind we've got 2 big summers coming up after all this has happened, with the World Cup and the Euros, obviously, and we were pretty good getting to the semis last time. So I just wanted to know, with times changing and the young prospects coming around, what would be your England 11 or your strongest one?
I can go first.
Providing all players are fit, obvious. I'll come to Martin first.
Okay.
Right, okay. The strongest one. Right.
In your opinion.
The only thing I'm thinking is Henderson at Sheffield United, is he English?
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think he'll be the England #1 soon enough. By then.
Yeah.
I'm going to go right back. I feel dirty now, but I'm going to have to go TAA. I've got to. Centre back. Again, I'm going to have to be dirty, but it's going to have to be Maguire because I'm running out of full-backs. Defenders for English. I can't say John Stones. I'm sorry, but I can't do it. I'll be so two-faced if I rock out with John Stones. Left back, Ben Chilwell.
Yeah.
And the other centre back. This is the one I was struggling with.
I've got Tyrone Mings there. I've got Tyrone Mings there.
Go on to your midfield.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We're not blessed with centre backs in England, are we? English full-blown centre backs. We're not blessed with them. John Stones, because I don't like Tyrone Mings. I'm going to have to say John Stones.
Okay.
Midfield, Jordan Henderson. Raheem Sterling on the wings. Who was the other one?
What formation is this? Because
We're playing straight back.
I'm going for.
You got. Who was your left back?
Ben Chilwell.
Chilwell.
Okay. So you've got Henderson in midfield. What are you playing? A 4-3-3?
No, 4-2-2.
4-2-2.
Oh, 4-2-2. That's the most. That's an amazing formation.
He's playing some next level Mike Bassett formation, isn't he?
No, it is 4-3-3 normally.
Martin Bassett.
Martin Bassett.
Wrote it on the back of a flag.
He's a Bertie.
He'll be going dancing in the bars, telling Pele to piss off.
Martin, you are comedy gold. Right,
come on,
Mike.
Are you going for a 4-2-2 or a 4-3-3 or a 4-4-2?
I'm going for a 4-3-3 now. Be quiet and let me finish.
4-3-3-3.
So you got Henderson in there. Who's your other 2 midfielders?
Is going to be the lad at Tottenham, Harry Winks.
Okay.
Oh God, you can't be kidding me.
Go on.
Oh.
Go on. You come to yours, Alan. Go on.
The front 3, because I'm just struggling.
Who's your other midfielder?
You've got another midfielder.
You said Henderson and Winks. Who's your other midfielder? Not thought about this, have you?
I wrote it down. I wrote 9
down.
Right,
well, you wrote 9 down. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. Let him have a think about it. Alan, go to Alan. Alan, what's
come on, Alan?
What's your 4-2-2?
Yeah, 4-1-1.
4-9-7-2.
Well, I'm going to bring Chris in. Chris, we'll come to you in a minute. Chris, are you there?
Yeah. Yes, mate, I am. Martin put me to sleep, mate, but I'm awake.
Right, all right.
I've just moved him. He's having a thromby over there. No, it's too late. You'll come back in a minute. We'll come to Chris first, so he's on the screen, and then we'll come to Alan, because if I left Martin in, we just have Martin going like this all the time on screen. So Chris, come to you first. Then? You are, thank God, yeah. Go on, Chris.
Right. So I have got an 11 here. Henderson in goal. Yeah. I've got Trent, whatever his face is. I can't remember his name. Liverpool right back. with Maguire and Gomez as centre backs and Chilwell left back.
Yeah.
I've gone for Eric Dyer over Henderson because I think Henderson will be too old by that time. And I'm going to go with the Pep system here. So I'm going to go very attacking. Foden, who I can't believe Martin's forgotten about since he, can't stop mentioning his name most times. Foden and Debbie Alley.
Debbie Alley.
And then Sancho, Sterling and Kane.
Ooh, interesting.
Alan?
Right, Henderson in net from Sheffield United. Alexander-Arnold. At the back, you'd have Maguire, the guy from Chelsea, the centre half, the black
Tomorrow.
Yeah, or Mings. Chilwell at full back, at left full back. Everyone agrees on that. Defensive midfielder, either Henderson or Rice.
Yeah.
And then going into midfield, I'd have Foden, Oxlade-Chamberlain, and Maddison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. Up front.
Yeah.
We've got a plethora of people who can pick here. But the obvious one that stands out will definitely play every game will be Kane, right? He plays every game. Then you'll have a choice of Sancho or Sterling, and then Rashford. Okay.
Yeah.
And on current form, you'd have to say Sancho because Sterling's not playing well and hasn't played well for about 4 months. And then you've got Callum Hudson-Odoi if he stays out of prison. So you've got a plethora.
A disclaimer on there. We don't know what on Man City TV. We don't know anything about anything to do with Hudson-Odoi in prison.
So the problem is the centre halves. I don't rate any of them. I'll be honest with you. I think they're all average and nothing more than average.
Yeah. Karl.
Yeah, I would, as a non-Englishman or I would Dean Henderson in goal. Wan-Bissaka right back because Trent can't defend. Defend, it exposed on the right. I'll have Maguire and Mings. I'll have Chilwell left back, Rice holding, Mason Mount free 8, and Ox free 8. In the front three of Sancho, Kane, and Sterling.
Yeah, that's a good one.
4-3-3.
Right, Andy. Yeah, Andy, with your 4-7-9-2-5 formation. Adopted by Martin Bassett.
Yeah, I still think they'll pick Pickford, but I still think I still think they'll pick Pickford, though I'd rather have Henderson in there. If I was going 4-3-3, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Gomez, and Maguire and Chilwell.
I forgot about Gomez. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. My three in midfield would be, well, what I think it might be is Henderson holding with Maddison and Foden ahead of him. Sterling on the right, Kane up front with Rashford on the left, but it could be Sancho depending on whatever. And you could swap that around into a 3-5-2 because you could put Trent Alexander-Arnold forward. You could put Gomez playing on the right of Maguire and Chilwell. You could put Foden on the left. You could put Trent Alexander-Arnold on the right with Henderson and Maddison in the middle, and Sterling on the right, wide right. It's a whatever you want to go with it.
I'll tell you one thing, Andy. It's a massive year for Phil Foden next season.
Yeah, it's huge. Absolutely
massive season.
Huge.
He has to play.
Huge. And this is why the whole sort of discussion based around, players coming in that were supposed to be buying in midfield and things like that. With Silva retiring or leaving City, Foden must take that opportunity. He must take that berth. If Pep's got that much faith in him, Foden must be the person that takes David Silva's role. And we play him, and we play him, and we play him, and rest him on occasions and things like that. But he has got to be in that England team next year. He deserves to be in it on his talent, but he's got to do it on the pitch for Man City first next season.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree with you.
Martin, do you
let's bring in 4-2-2. How you doing, mate?
4-3-3 formation.
Hey, a 4-3-3.
I nearly went for Andy's favourite 3-5-2, but didn't want to
Go
do
for
it.
Kevin Keegan. More in defence.
Well, that's why I put those players in, because you can actually make it a 3-5-2 if you wanted to, because Gomez can play in the right, Maguire's central.
Tell you what, I think we need a breaking news ticker going across the bottom there. Andy's just said 3 at the back.
Yeah, no, I'm happy with 3 at the back, even for City. But as long as
it worked at the World Cup,
as long as
the last World Cup 3 at the back.
Yeah. I think it could go on then.
Henderson in goal. TAA at right back. Joe Gomez, Harry Maguire, and then Ben Chilwell. Henderson is your holder. And then I'm going to go, well, I think, now I'm going off what Gareth Southgate would say. I don't think Foden will get in, because I don't think Foden's going to still get a game time at City, if I'm honest.
Okay, fair enough.
I've told you about Andy. I think he'll end up going out on loan.
What?
Don't even start that. We've got Martin Dawn.
Wait.
Phil Foden's going to go on loan. You've never told me that.
I have. I've told you. I think he'll get annoyed in the end and has to go on loan.
You'd be speaking to Ian Cheeseman about it, because he doesn't fancy him either.
No, Alan, I love Foden. I love him. I think Pep gives it a lot of gum. I think he gives it a lot of gums at the moment. I don't think he is as in love with Foden as what he claims to be. Not like I'm in love with him anyway. Right, so I'm going to go for Henderson to hold. I've got a feeling he's going to end up choosing Eric Dyer.
Just before you do, sorry, we're going to just recap on that, because Karl, I know you've got to go, mate. So, Karl, you get going, mate, because I know you've got food ready and everything else. So, take care of yourself, buddy.
Right, take care, guys.
We'll see you next week.
Right,
Stay
bye.
safe, mate.
Stay safe, buddy. Sorry, Martin. Karl just messaged me there to say his food was ready and everything. He had to go. So apologies. You had Henderson, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Gomez, Maguire, Chilwell. Holding, you had Henderson. You didn't think Foden was in. Who was your other 2 in the 3?
For some reason, Southgate likes Eric Dyer. He loves him.
Okay.
I don't know why he likes him. And I think it will then be either Mount or Dele Alli. I can't split between those 2 to which one he's going to play.
So are you saying Henderson and Dyer plus Ali?
Yeah.
Or Mount?
I'm going to go with Dele Alli.
Okay, that's a pretty defensive sort of 3. Okay.
I know it's. I don't trust. I'm not a big Southgate lover.
Okay.
Front
Who's
three
your
quite
3 up front?
obvious, mate. Sterling, Sancho, Kane.
So you're not picking Rashford?
No.
Why?
The only time I pick Rashford's out of the lineup.
I think Rashford's a miles better player than Sancho.
Personally,
but
on form, he's better than Sterling as well. Sterling last 4 months has been bloody awful.
Yeah, yes.
Form's temporary, class is permanent.
Am I all right to give mine?
Oh, I think Sterling will be there. I don't doubt. I think Sterling will come back, if I'm being honest with you. But it's interesting. Go on then, Tom. What's yours?
So I've gone slightly different. You probably might be slightly surprised, but I've got Henderson in goal, Trent at right back. I've got Tomori and Tyrone Mings in centre backs. Ooh. I've got Ben Chilwell at left back. I've gone for a 3 in midfield, no defensive department. I've got Jack Grealish, James Maddison, and Phil Foden in the middle, and then up front, I have got Sterling, Tammy Abraham, and Rashford.
Well, no Harry Kane.
I think Tammy Abraham
over Harry Kane.
I'd have Tammy Abraham over Harry Kane going into the World Cup. As much as I love Harry, and you know I'm a big advocate of Harry, I think Tammy will be the one to start up top.
Sorry, the former Swansea striker.
Yeah. I think he would do well.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
Stick to films, Tom.
Stick to weights, buddy.
I've
Stick
got
to
Eric
weights.
Dyer, mate. I've got Eric Dyer in my team.
That's
what I'm saying.
Hey, listen, it's interesting. It is an interesting lineup. God, I mean, to go with Tomori and Mings as your centre backs, and then dropping Harry Kane. Who, let's face it, I mean, we all have our moans about Harry Kane, but I mean, his goal record is.
I'm thinking of the future. Like, I'd say Harry Kane striker for the Euros, but when I'm looking forward to the World Cup as well, I'd like to see Tammy in front of Harry for especially the World
He's
Cup.
only 26, you know.
Yeah, but he's not even at his peak yet.
He'll be 28.
That's ancient,
he'll be
though, isn't
28
All right,
World
then,
Cup.
Tom, here's a question back to you. Tammy
Yeah.
Abraham. or
I'm
Harry
50.
Kane?
You want a long-term replacement, don't you? I've always, I don't know, because I've always backed Harry for saying we need to bring him in.
Which one would you have at City if you could have either of them?
Oh, you're a turncoat now. Go on.
Tammy
Harry-
Abraham
Harry-
or Kane?
Based on the different styles of football, I'd have Harry Kane in at City. But for the type of football we play, fast-flowing football, Kane slows up the play. Kane slows it up, and
But
you saw
Southgate's
it.
copied the Pep model, remember?
Yeah, I know that, but I think Kane's got a better receiver if he came to City. If everything stays as it is.
Oh, I get that, yeah.
Whereas if you went to the England setup, they base their football more on the wings, and Tammy Abraham's taller and has a bit more of a dynamic threat rather than Kane, and has lots of pace to get up the pitch as well quickly. I'm basically thinking where we lost the World Cup in a way was how we didn't counter-attack teams very quickly due to the slowness of Kane. But I'm not denying he's a great goal scorer because he is a world class.
We lost the World Cup because we didn't control the ball in the second half. We did in midfield. We lost it completely in midfield. We didn't keep the ball at all.
Southgate's manager.
Yeah, well, I agree. But who else would there be? Who else would we get?
Mike Bassett. You need to bring
Right.
him back in.
Pep
How well he did.
Guardiola to set up.
It'd be nice.
Okay. We're going to move on because we're coming up to the last question of tonight, and that is Chris's. So we're over to Chris. What's your question, mate?
Okay, so it's not so serious. What is the most bizarre moment you've witnessed at a game? So for us older farts, right, this should be fairly easy because we have seen, plenty of some strange decisions made. So I'll go first to Bez, see what he has to say.
This is hard.
Come on, Bez. Bez. Look, he's not registering at all, is he?
No. You're twisting
I'm
his melon.
I'm ignoring you until you actually say my name. Say my name and I'll do it.
Say my name.
Say my name.
Yeah.
Say my
You
name.
got it.
Right. Jamie Pollock's own goal, 'cause I've never ever seen anybody do that. I just
What's
have never
that?
done it. Jamie Pollock's own
Pollock.
goal against QPR at Main Road. I've never seen anybody.
Yeah, remember that. Yeah.
That has got to be. If George Weah had done that, or Aguero, or Kevin De Bruyne, you'd be raving about it. But I've never seen. I couldn't believe he was doing it. I was like, "Yeah, that's amazing." And then I realised what goal he was doing it in. I thought he'd had a bet on the game beforehand. Not that he does that. I'm not saying Jamie Pollock's been accused of that. But
Call the cops.
I think it was the fact he sort of knocked it over the head, round over the shoulder, and a quick little dink over Weaver. It was like, "What are you doing?"
It was a hell of a goal, mate.
It was a great goal, just in the wrong goal, and I don't know what he was doing.
Has he just nicked your answer, Andy?
Yeah, it was one of them. Yeah.
I'll come to you next, mate, if you're all right with that.
With me?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Give me 5 minutes. Alan's having a quick research now. He's checking himself up.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna come away from City.
Okay.
The bizarrest thing I saw at a game, and because you didn't say City game or anything like that. When I was in Australia, I was in Sydney, and I went to watch. It was like a local. It was a friend of a friend's brother or something like that was playing Aussie rules, and I went to watch it. And it was fucking kicking off like you wouldn't believe. I mean, it was just, honestly, it's mental. It's absolutely mental. And there was a guy on the sideline who'd been sent off or something like that. But he kept giving the referees a right load of grief. And something happened and they ended up in a brawl. And then they split it up and everything else. And there was more sort of like sending offs or whatever it was going. Because I didn't quite understand the rules of it. I was just watching it for the fighting because it was so good. Even just a game, punching people and all sorts. But the guy who got sent off previously after this decision, where there was this massive, everyone's kicking shit out of each other, walked onto the pitch, went right into the centre of the pitch, pulled his shorts down, and did this massive shit. I'm not kidding. It was the biggest log I've ever seen. Just dropped out. He dropped out of his ass. He pulled his shorts back up, walked back onto the sideline, opened up like this cooler, pulled out a beer. I think it was a VB, a bit bitter.
It's horrible as well. It's horrible.
And I just downed this whole thing with everybody. Everybody. No, he never wiped at all. He just went down, dropped his caps, right? And I was watching it going, what's he doing? And
Gary
he just
Lineker style that.
You know, he squatted, fair play, good thigh muscles. He just squatted and dropped this massive turd on the pitch. But the next thing was, I was thinking, are they going to carry on or is somebody going to go and pick it up before they actually carry on? And eventually they started going on, but you had the opposition team going, you can't carry on with that on the pitch. And it was like, who was going to go and pick it up? Because he was just stood there drinking a beer going, fuck you, basically. I ain't going back on. And I don't know what happened because it ended up, I don't know what the game was. I think the game was abandoned at some point because there was more fighting. I can't remember if anyone picked it up and whatever, but it was just...
It's still there now.
It was the most mental thing I've ever seen.
What, is
anything
it a fossil? Is it fossil?
And then they were all shaking hands afterwards and everything. I'm just thinking, oh, Jesus.
Do you realise in AFL...
Welcome to Man City Fan TV,
no
everyone.
sending off. You can do what you want. There's no sending off.
It was like people... Well, there were like people. What it was just because I'd never seen it. So I saw Aussie rules afterwards in stadiums. This was like on a local park team, whatever, and I didn't even know what was going on. I was just watching it, going, "How come everyone's punching everybody?" And there was like proper fights and all sorts of things. Oh, Jesus Christ! It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. So, no, you took mine with Jamie Pollock, but so there you go. That's mine outside of the game.
I wish I'd come to you last now. How did you meant to keep up with that? I wish I'd come to you last now after that. These two got it. I'll go to Alan next.
It's get two of them. And I was trying to work out which was the most funniest or bizarre. First one would say was City against Liverpool at Main Road when we were 2 each. And pissing about the corner flag. I think that has got to be what the fuck are you lot doing? Yeah. And
that's the one now Quinn came running out and won it.
Yeah, I was thinking what you did. Everyone knew what was going on and what we needed to do. We were messing about for 10 minutes in the corner flag. And then Joe Corrigan, when he was goalkeeper, when he kicked it out from the side of the penalty area, okay, when he was a goalkeeper at City, and then stuck his head down and walked back towards the goal from the right-hand side of the penalty box. And the West Ham player volleyed it straight to the back of net. And Corrigan was still with his head down, walking back to goal. That's the ball went in the back of the net. And if you look on YouTube and watch it, it's hilarious. I was thinking, only Man City could do something like that.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And Terminator Tom, finally.
Well, I could talk about one of my many. I could have talked about one of my many films in bizarre moments, but I'm going to talk about football. I've got two. So I've got One, when the Dynamo Zagreb fans came to Man City earlier on this season, I'd never seen a fan base like that. And then when they took all the tops off and we were all having a joke when we just scored, that was comedy gold. And then, it was freezing as well. At one point, I thought they were going to jump off the second tier into the first tier. It looked like they were going to get to that point. And then, remember him? Do you remember him?
He was literally dangling off the second bit, and I'm like, he's gonna go. He's gonna go in a minute. And
but what we didn't,
they're going, yeah, let him go. Let him go.
But what we didn't realise was it's a tradition after the Champions League anthem. They're all sat in the seats and they run towards the end of it, and we thought they were all just going to jump off. But in the end, they stopped. So yeah, that was that. And then the second one is when Sunderland were playing Liverpool and the beach ball hit the ball and it went in.
That was funny.
That's definitely the on-pitch bizarre moment, but definitely my favourite moment off the pitch was the Zagreb fans and dangling and stuff. It was just brilliant.
Was that the one that did the funny dance on when they all went down under the seats and came back up?
Yeah.
And you're like, where are they going?
But the first 10 minutes was crazy because it was literally just a riot between East Stand, Buddy Corner, and their fans lobbing seats and bottles at each other. And I remember a Zagreb fan threw a beer bottle at the City, and he caught it, started drinking it, and giving him the V's back, and it was absolutely brilliant. Yeah, so there you go, Zagreb.
Nice. That's the only thing I love Champions League nights for is the away fans. They're off their head.
That's where we got the Poznan from.
Yeah. We need to bring that.
We do. We're not. Yeah, we don't. We sort of do it in spits and spats, don't we? We do it in like little bits, and then it just doesn't seem to manifest itself in a full-on sort of, Poznan. But anyway, wow, that's some questions. FA Cup and UEFA Champions League. We've had the Euros and the World Cup squad. Huh?
Chris hasn't done his bizarre moment yet.
Yeah. Oh, no, he hasn't, actually. Yeah,
all right, everyone in the car.
Come on, then. Oh, he's been quiet. Go on.
Answer my own questions. Right,
okay. The open shirt. He just needs the gold medallion.
It's the cherry
Magnus
chest, man.
PI over there.
I think one of the moments being a City fan where I was like, and excuse me for swearing, where I went, what the fuck's he doing? When Stuart Pearce brought David James on as a striker. David James as a striker. It's like, what's he doing?
Stuart Pearce.
Pearce, yeah. So what on earth is he doing?
I've got to be honest. I thought a lot of that with Stuart Pearce, like, what the F are you doing?
Oh yeah, yes, that's true, mate. But I think that was the moment I was just like, I can't believe what I'm seeing. Just couldn't believe what I was seeing,
Oh dear me!
Must-win game.
That's when we never scored a goal. A season when we never scored a goal at home for months on end.
My first season as a season ticket holder as well, like I told you a few weeks back. Honestly.
Well, yeah, that was your first season, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Did you ever read about John Macken's reaction to that? John Macken said, "I was sat on the bench.
Yeah.
Wanted to score a goal, and I'm sat here as the striker. Nicky Weaver stands up, goes in there, and he tells David, because John Macken just said, I never spoke with Stuart Pearce ever again after that. I was done. He said it killed me, absolutely killed me.
Bonkers, man, absolutely bonkers. And then there was Beanie.
Oh, that was his daughter, though, wasn't it?
It was just mental.
You don't remember the little horse he put next to him because it was his daughter's doll.
Yeah, it was Beanie. Yeah.
Right. Man. Well, there you go. So now we've had the FA Cup, we've had the Euro squad, bizarre moments at games. We've had Ben Mendy, should he stay, should he not, and how and what you've done to go above and beyond to get to watch Manchester City. Not sure I can beat Alan's 13,000 mile trip and everything else. And mugging off his boss, but then at least there were about another 5,000 of them doing it at the time.
Is he still your boss?
No, because I've got my own business now, but I'm still friends with him.
I'm gonna say he won't be your boss anymore.
Yeah. Well, listen,
He won't speak to you again.
No,
Yeah,
no.
I actually have a beer with him most Fridays. He's actually a really good bloke. But he basically said, "Are you serious?" I said, "I didn't tell you the reason because I said it was an emergency, and it wasn't an emergency."
I didn't put the word family in front of it. You know, right?
Yeah, exactly. That was his assumption.
Well, listen, guys. No, listen, we're going to finish it here because we've been on for quite some time, finishing this part 2. This is Andy from Man City Fan TV. I want to say a massive thank you, Karl, who had to shoot off because it was normally when we do these vlogs, it always interrupts with his dinner time, his evening food, because he's 5 hours behind what is now 20 to 1 in the morning. So it's a decent finish for us on the Friday Night Social. So we had to shoot off on there. So a big thanks to Karl for coming on.
One thing, I just want to wish all the best to Ferran Soriaro, to Khaldoon, Brian Marwood, all the people that are going down to the Cascades on Monday. Fingers crossed. Yes,
let's hope it actually goes ahead and they don't delay it. What's the odds on Sunday we're here or tomorrow we're here? Oh, suddenly it's going to be delayed for another few months. So we'll wait and see. But thanks to Alan over in Melbourne. Take care, buddy. Golf?
No, I'm looking at a house this afternoon, so I'm not playing golf.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, listen, enjoy your weekend, buddy. Martin, thanks for coming on, mate.
Not a problem.
You're a legend. We love you. You give us the greatest laughs ever.
Can I just say, Andy, before we start, just to remind everyone, less than 2 weeks, watch-alongs are back. We are going to be throwing them at you, left, right, and centre watch-alongs.
Going to be throwing them at everyone, are you?
Oh yeah, we've got about 3 a week, haven't we, planned? I haven't told the missus yet.
I don't know because I am not doing them. I'm gonna hold firm with this because it's not
doing something special, aren't you?
I don't know. Maybe I will be doing something special next week. I'll be back because I've had 2 weeks.
Why are you nicking my phrase for? You're nicking my phrase. I'll be back.
He'll be back.
2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Well, 2 weeks I've been busy, but tried 2 years. I've been busy for the last couple of weeks, but I'll be back next week, Tom. I'll be back next week. Everything's now done and dusted, so I'll be back to popping out some maybe the odd live vlog here and there and a bit of news in brief. We'll wait and see. But Martin's been holding the fort anyway. He's been doing a brilliant job putting those out. Chris, thank you, mate.
Yeah, great to meet up with you all again, guys. Have a laugh and everything like we always do. Really good to see you. And if for those of you who only watch this and don't go and watch the vlogs, I recommend everyone goes and watch Martin's vlogs and ask him to pronounce as many strange names as you can.
So funny.
If anything, it keeps me entertained.
just don't even name a player. Just make it up and just say, "Have you noticed this one?"
Hey,
just so he reads it out.
Hey, you want to see these news in briefs when Andy's sending me the pronunciations across? Make sure you see this properly.
He's a star. He's an absolute star. He's done a brilliant job, and his interview with Cheesy. If you've not seen it, go over. Wonderful interview that Martin did with Ian Cheeseman. Really good view. So if you haven't seen that, make sure whatever you do, go over. If you've not seen it, go over and check it out. It was it Monday earlier on in the week? It was put out or done or Tuesday.
A live vlog and straight into the interview.
Yeah, it's very good.
Nice
So go over and check that one out. Tom, Arnie,
live workout videos on Man City Fan TV next week, guys. Let's get into it.
There's a project. We could get
there you go.
Things every day.
Hey, we could. Hey, actually, there's an idea. Maybe I'll speak to you. Maybe you can do. Shame we didn't come up with this about 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah,
But maybe,
You
yeah,
could have been
maybe
Joe Wicks, a Man City fan TV.
exactly.
Yeah.
That was what I was going to say. You could have been. But guys, thanks Tom for coming on.
No
buddy.
worries. Thank you
at least
again.
at least you're 15 minutes
Yeah, I
early
know.
before your
brilliant.
bedtime. Before your dad
Snuggle
goes
up
get to
tight.
bed.
No.
Guys, don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell icon, and make sure your notifications are set to public, not private. That way, when new videos come on the channel, you'll be notified of it. But again, this is, we started on the 5th of June. It's now the 6th of June, early hours of Saturday morning. And this is the Friday Night Social. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget, whatever you do, go over. This is part 2. Go over and check out part 1. Where we talk all about the Man City banner and things like that, and talk about CAS and UEFA and things like that. But anyway, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you soon.